leaking anything, but you're smoking pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it in to see what's going on.
Wind back in your panic, see if you can figure out what's going on.
Yep.
Alright guys, so we are back in my garage for another video, and today we are at the National Corvette Museum track. This is the same track we came to last year, and the good news is the car seems a lot better right now. I haven't changed a whole lot, but last year we had issues because I had just slapped the Dynamic AutoWorks turbo on there, had some bugs, got that fixed, went to the track later that year and had no issues. So I anticipate today will go way more smoothly. The only real changes that we've made is the Bimmer Network intake manifold. I added the low pressure fuel pump, but that won't really make a difference here. And I think that's it. I think that's pretty much everything that we've added to the car. So hopefully everything stays smooth. We are looking for just a day where I can really dial in the car and beat my times last year, because I didn't realize how much I was losing by not having that wastegate working. But now we've got it fixed, so I should be getting a lot more speed and being able to bet a lot better time. So let's head out there for the first session and see how we do. Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe, because there will be a lot more coming out in the future. Well, that session was pretty rough. I don't know what set the car up to be so loose, but it ended up just being ridiculous. I don't know. That first entry into turn one was insane and got the car almost completely turned around. That was pretty embarrassing first lap out, and I let most everybody pass me just so I could have some room to figure out the lap. So thankfully I was able to get a faster time than last year. I'm in the 20s. That's kind of what I wanted. Last year my best time was a 2:34, so that's 5 seconds faster on a car that's driving really, really sloppy. But hopefully we can figure out what was wrong and then get the car back out there. So I'm anticipating it's something, hopefully just something loose. I'll check the wheel torque and everything on the lugs, but I think something, hopefully something stupid was causing that issue. So let's see what we can find.
Everything all right?
No, I'm not sure what's wrong.
I don't see any signs of leaking right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You're not leaking anything, but you're smoking pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it in to see what's going on.
Climb back in your panic,
Yeah.
see if you can figure out what's going on.
Yep,
At least you're not leaking anything.
that's the idea, but I'm not sure what it could be. So it's got a check engine light, so I'll scan it and see what it's saying.
Yeah, okay, you're all set.
Appreciate it.
Just pull it up a couple feet just to make sure first. Oh, you're good.
All right, thank you.
Well, like usual, it has been a day. NCM is not easy on cars at all, and everybody's kind of laughing at me saying like, oh, stuff works so well at Putnam, I don't know why I'm having problems. And they're like, duh, because this is a completely different animal. It absolutely is. This is a real life torture test for any car that you want to really push it to its limits. So, you know, during the first session, things got really out of whack. Realized it was tire pressure. My tire pressure was at 38 psi, so I lowered it. A lot less issues, I guess. Traction is still not always available, but it's not as twitchy and loose as it was before. Then the next session that I got out, the car misfired and through a drivetrain malfunction. And then while I was driving around, it was smoking out of the back of the car. So kind of freaking out, but you know, drove off of the track. Nothing was indicating that the car was like messed up, but it was running on 4 out of 6 cylinders. So Brought it in. Of course, they checked the car, made sure it wasn't leaking or anything. There was nothing leaking. All the smoke was coming out of the exhaust. And one of my friends was behind me, and he said that he smelled fuel. And so that kind of told me that maybe the car was spraying fuel without actually burning it. But I still checked my spark plugs and everything. All that was good. So it seemed like somehow 2 cylinders got turned off. And I'm assuming it's because it misfired or had an issue. So checked everything, seemed okay. Went out for the 3rd session. Everything was fine for like a lap and a half. Then I got a misfire again, and this time I got a code for aux pressure too low, which, if you might remember, was the same issue that we ran into last year at Putnam, but that was when I had ethanol in the car. This time I have pump gas, so I should not be having fuel pressure issues. And it really didn't make sense, but I topped off the gas. Based on my thoughts last year, maybe I was hitting fuel starvation. It's topped off the gas, and then my last session I had no issues with fuel. I did lift a couple times just to make sure I wasn't like pushing it and putting it in like a dangerous scenario, but I was running a log the entire session, and no aux pressure issues. The lowest fuel pressure I saw was around 72 psi, which is the same as stock. So I think it's fixed. I just think for my track days moving forward, I have to keep my gas tank topped off. Like, I thought the issue at Putnam was just because I had E85 in the car, but it seems like it could still happen on pump gas depending on the scenario. So every session I'm going to top it off with gas and hope for the best. Now, it did start drizzling a little bit, but thankfully it's not raining like it was supposed to. But I think it might rain tonight, so we'll see how the sessions tomorrow go. All things considered, I think today was successful because I did run a faster time. I know the car is capable of much more. If I were to get my confidence back, and I ran a 120 or 229 with the car randomly losing traction and having issues, so it's definitely capable of probably a mid 20, maybe a low 20 if I was a better driver. But yeah, I'm just happy that at least I'm able to show that the car is faster than it was last year with the upgraded turbo. So I don't know if I'm going to go out again today. We have one more session, and it's a combined session with a bunch of people. If I do, I'm going to just top it off with gas, and I'm going to send it and make sure that the car holds whatever I throw at it, because tomorrow, like I said, if it rains tonight, tomorrow morning might be wet, or it might rain tomorrow. I'm not sure. We'll see. But this might be some of the best conditions of the weekend. So fingers crossed everything is fixed and everything works well, because I'd love to run a faster time. But this is how it goes, guys. Sometimes at the track, when you push things to the limit, you're getting things hotter than they've ever been, running them through much higher stress than they've ever gone through. This is really the test. And that's what I want. I want to make sure that my car is solid, so it'll take whatever I throw at it. All right, so I'll probably do the last session. I wasn't planning on doing it, but I'll probably do the last session, and let's see how it goes. All right, guys. Well, we made it through the weekend. At this point, the weekend is actually over. I didn't get to film anything the last day at the track because I was so busy. So I worked today. I got the car completely unpacked just now. And let's go ahead and recap how the weekend went. So I guess first of all, the car didn't drive home under its own power, because I trailered the car. I actually got it on the trailer and used the X7 to tow it to the track and back. Yes, the car is running fine. It came off of the trailer and pulled into the garage without any issues, but it was a very nice convenience to be able to trailer the car this go around. So if you guys want to see a more detailed review on how the X7 handled towing and all that stuff, let me know. I'm probably going to make a video about that in the future. The other thing is, I was busy because I was instructing again this weekend, and for those of you that missed my last track day video, I got certified to be an instructor. So I have been instructing with the PCA, and I will be instructing at all the Kentucky PCA events, I should say, this year. So they have 2 additional events scheduled, one in June and one in September at Putnam Park in Indianapolis. So if you guys are in the area, want to feel out your car, see how it handles, I highly recommend coming out. Registration is open for all of their events. I will also be at Mid-Ohio with the Buckeye Chapter BMW CCA in August. And that'll be my first time at that track, so I won't be instructing there. But it should be a good time either way. So come out, get a real feel for your car, see how it actually handles under track handling, and you'll never experience this stuff on the street. I can guarantee it. So highly, highly recommend coming out and using your BMW for what it was made for. So with that out of the way, starting off Sunday, things were wet. It actually rained Saturday night. I expected it to rain most of the weekend, so it was really nice that Saturday was pretty much dry. But Sunday morning, we got the leftover remnants of a damp track since it had rained overnight. And it was really cloudy, so we anticipated there was going to be more rain, and people weren't really sure how the day was going to go. So, first session out, very timid, kind of warming up with the car again. Since I was having the issues with misfires, I kind of determined that it was fuel pressure related. And I don't know how detailed you guys want me to go into that, but it was really convenient because I was using this bad boy for a track timer. So instead of using my phone, I got a Solo 2. This was way more reliable and consistent than my phone ever was. I highly recommend this for anybody that cares about their track time and improving their performance and figuring out a new track. That's actually helped me relearn a track I already knew and find some new lines and driving styles that helped me pull time out. So this is awesome. I'll have it linked in the video description if you guys are interested. But because I had that, I was able to run logs. So I actually logged my car and figured out that fuel pressure was dropping. It shouldn't have been, but I feel like I was just experiencing fuel starvation going through the turns and everything. Maybe there were some air pockets getting sucked in. I also noticed that my secondary fuel pump was turning on even though I was on my pump gas map. So I might work with my tuner to raise the pressure where it comes on a little bit. We'll kind of play it by ear. But otherwise, as long as I kept the gas tank full, it was fine. So I filled up between every session. First session, again, damp track, not a lot of grip, I thought. But as we started going through it, I realized the track actually had a lot of grip, even though it looked damp. There really weren't any like wet spots, any super slick spots. But I needed to learn more as a driver. I was still struggling with traction. The car was kicking out in places where it shouldn't have been and washing out in turns, and I was missing apexes and stuff. And I started getting really frustrated. So I talked to one of the guys that was next to me. He had a GT4. Before he had the GT4, I met him actually last year. He had a Honda S2000, which I guess he still has, but he got the GT4 to, have fun at the track with. So with the GT4, he said he was running pretty consistent 228s. And my best time was a 229, but I knew I should have been able to squeeze out a 228. Actually, probably the session before, right before it ended, I had all my green lights on the Solo 2 indicating I was at least a half second faster than my best time. And then the checkered flag came out. You guys will see that as a common theme. I think that happened 3 times this weekend. I was chasing green lights, trying to get a fast lap, and then the checkered flag would come out and everybody would have to pull in because the session was over. So that sucked. But I decided, if he was running 28s, he said it was pretty consistent, I would just try to follow him if I ever saw him out there. And naturally, last session, on the last day, I saw him come up behind me. I let him pass, and I chased him. And the good news is the output of that session was I actually ran 3 28s. So as you can see, when I'm driving behind somebody that's consistent, the car is consistent. And that just goes to show that I'm definitely not the best driver at this point. I need to work a lot on not just my driving skills, my inputs, but also the driving line at this track. At Putnam Park, I can whip this car around no issue, especially now that I have a working turbo and everything. You can see my top speeds were way higher than what they were last year. I think I didn't even hit 120 last year, and now I'm going over 130. So much, much better performance. I'm very happy to at least be in the 20s. That's a solid 5 seconds faster than I was last year. But if I was more consistent, if I had more time, I was really starting to feel it out. I definitely think I could have ran mid 20s, maybe even low 20s with like everything being perfect. But, I'm very satisfied, especially because that last session was dry. The sun came out. It really dried out the track right after lunch. And then right after that, it started raining again. So we just packed up and went home because I didn't really see any need to go back out there and try to push my luck. But yeah, again, overall, great session, good car. Highly recommend bringing it out, whether you have an M car or not. It needs to go on the track. There were people with base model E46s, 4-door cars just going out there and lapping, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of things that you can learn as a driver, regardless of the car. This is the place to do it. So can't say enough about those guys. They host an awesome event. They gave us lunch and dinner and had free water at the track and all that stuff. Really good, family-friendly environment. And I can't wait to do the next one. So we got a lot of stuff planned before June, before the next event. So stay tuned for that. I will be posting up all the updates. The car won't be making any more power, but we will be changing some things out. We'll be doing a little bit of handling mods. We've got some suspension parts waiting to go on. But yeah, overall, very pleased with how it's doing so far, and I think it can only get better. So let me know what else you guys want to see. We'll be posting up the laps, and then in the future, we'll be doing more track days. So if you want to see something specific during the track day, let me know. And I think that's it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below. All right, well, that session was a little bit rough, and I wasn't really sure what was wrong. The car was super loose. That first entry into turn 1 was completely ridiculous. I don't know how the car got so sideways.
Party people!